Have you ever stopped to think about how all the stuff in your life, your phone, your clothes, your coffee, actually gets to you from all over the world? Well, it all flows through these giant, incredibly complex, and kind of invisible hubs of global trade. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden world of container terminals.
To really get a handle on the challenge here, let's just start with one number, 24,000. That is how many standard 20-foot containers a single modern cargo ship can carry. In the industry, they call one of those boxes a TUU, so that's 24,000 TEUs. Just try to picture that for a second. It's a number so big it's almost impossible to wrap your head around, but it perfectly sets the stage for the massive problem these terminals have to solve every single day.
And that, right there, leads to the multi-billion-dollar question. How in the world do you unload a floating skyscraper packed with 24,000 boxes, and then make absolutely sure every single one of them gets to the right place on time?
That's the puzzle we're going to piece together. We'll start with the basics, what exactly a terminal is. Then we'll break down its core jobs, see how they're actually designed, walk through the planning process, and finally, take a look at where this whole industry is headed. It's going to be fascinating.
All right, let's dive right in. First up, what exactly is a container terminal? Because it's so much more than just a dock. Really, you can think of it as the beating heart of global commerce.
At its core, it's this super specialized place where the ocean meets the land. Its whole job is to be the ultimate transfer station. It gives ships a place to park, it handles the crazy job of loading and unloading thousands of containers, it stores them for a little while, and this is absolutely critical, it connects them to the trains and trucks that take them on the last leg of their journey to you and me.
So we know what a terminal is, but what does it actually do all day? Well, it really all boils down to 5 main jobs. This is where the real magic happens. And believe me, it is way more complicated than just stacking a bunch of boxes. You can think of it like a highly choreographed ballet with 5 main acts. First, these enormous cranes handle the containers, lifting them on and off the ship. Second, those boxes are whisked away to a giant yard for storage. Third, they get sorted and prepped for delivery inland. Fourth, everything, and I mean everything, has to get cleared by customs. And finally, running through it all, you have these powerful digital systems that are tracking and dispatching everything to keep it all moving like clockwork. Okay, now that we know the what, let's talk about the how. How do you design a physical space to make all of this happen efficiently? There's this invisible logic that goes into the blueprint of every modern port. And this is not simple architecture we're talking about. Port designers are in this constant balancing act, juggling physics, geography, economics, you name it. So what are the absolutely crucial factors they have to get right for a port to actually work?
First and foremost, water depth. This one is an absolute deal breaker. If you want to handle one of those 24,000 TEU giants, you need the water to be at least 17 to 18 meters deep. That includes a pretty important safety margin. It's simple. No deep water, no big ships. End of story.
Next up is space, and you need a lot of it. There's this rule of thumb that planners use called the storage multiplier. Basically, for every 1 container a ship can carry, you need enough space in your yard to store 3 times that number. So if a 12,000 TEU ship comes in, you'd better have 36,000 container slots on land ready to go. The scale is just mind-boggling.
And the shape of that space matters immensely. This is a perfect illustration. The ideal terminal is a nice, clean square or rectangle like you see at Kaohsiung Port. That lets traffic flow in a really straightforward, efficient way. But if you're boxed in by, say, mountains like a Keeling port, you end up with these irregular shapes that create bottlenecks and just make everything a whole lot harder.
And finally, you have to have the right tools for the job. What's so cool about this chart is how clearly it shows the impact of your equipment. Take a standard 400-meter berth. With just 1 crane, you might handle 200,000 containers a year. But you equip that very same spot with 4 modern cranes, bam! You've quadrupled your throughput to 800,000. It just goes to show having the right hardware is everything.
Okay, so we've got the key ingredients, right? Deep water, a huge amount of space, the right shape, and powerful equipment. But how do planners actually put all of those pieces together? Let's walk through the process of taking a terminal from just an idea to a functioning reality.
It turns out there's a very logical 5-step process. First, you analyze your constraints, the things you can't change, like geography and water depth. Second, you define your design vessel. That's the biggest ship you plan to service, and then you pick the equipment to match it. Third, you start mapping out the whole layout.
Fourth, you run simulations to calculate traffic flow and figure out your potential throughput. And only after all that do you finalize the multi-billion-dollar design and make the call.
And all of this brings us to right now and to the future. The entire industry is being completely reshaped by two massive forces happening at the same time. Ships are getting bigger and ports are getting smarter. It's what you might call the twin revolutions of scale and automation.
First, let's just talk about scale. I mean, look at this timeline. Back in 1988, the biggest ships held around 4,000 containers. By 2016, we blew past 15,000. Today, we're at 24,000. And people are already seriously talking about how to build ports that can handle ships carrying 30,000 containers or even more. This relentless growth is forcing ports to constantly get bigger and better.
And to handle that kind of scale, ports have to get smarter. This shows the shift in design perfectly. Older, traditional terminals often stacked containers horizontally, sort of parallel to the ship. It worked for trucks and human drivers. But the new automated terminals, they prefer vertical stacking, perpendicular to the ship. It's way denser, and it creates perfect straight-line paths for robots to navigate.
And the technology that's making this possible is just incredible. We're talking about automated cranes that unload the ship all by themselves, self-driving vehicles that shuttle containers around the yard, and even unmanned AI-powered trucks. The efficiency gains are just staggering. An automated gate system can now process a truck with 0 humans involved, a job that used to take a team of 5 people.
So it's pretty clear we're in the middle of a huge transformation. The pressure from these ever larger ships is forcing ports to get smarter and more automated at a crazy fast pace, which really just leaves us with one final big question to think about. As the ships keep getting bigger and the robots keep getting smarter, what is the port of 2050 even going to look like?